All right, everyone, welcome back for another episode of this weekend charts via Carnivore Trades and Wall Street for Main Street. If you've not done so already, please give the video a thumbs up. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe to the channel, and come find Jason on Patreon. Come find me on carnivoretrades.com for swing trading alerts, analysis, and live day trading. Anyways, let's get into it this week. So we started off the week with a bit of a bang. So lots of volatility. I'm going to switch to the futures here so you can see the overnight action. Look at where ES went right to our line right here. And I've had that marked on the 4 hour at 59.50. ES, a perfect back test. And this is, of course, on the DeepSeek R1 news, essentially kind of challenging NVIDIA. They claim it was, only $6 million. I'm a little skeptical about that. But the point is that there was some jitters there about maybe CapEx overspending, and you can see obviously NVIDIA taking a hit this week. It did come off the lows though, and you can watch our trend line right here on the weekly. Very nice hit of the weekly 50 MA, and essentially it's holding right now. Broadcom also taking a hit, and that took a little bit less of a hit going back to the weekly 20 MA, and not a bad bid off the low. So dips so far has been bought here. You can see TSM, another one that's started the week very weak, up 2.3% today, and that's getting a nice bid as well. And you can see the spiders here right back to 610. So we just had a round trip this week, essentially a weekly kind of test candle. We gapped down red and we're closing green. So again, this market here, if they can push this 2-year yield down, and I think that's what Trump is trying to do. We had earnings this week as well. Apple reporting yesterday, a little bit of a gap and then a dip here, but that's still holding up. That had a nice dip by a week or two ago. We also had Microsoft. That took a little bit of a hit, but it is still working on higher lows. And so, we had some other names, Tesla reporting, of course, and that is up higher right now on the week. But we had the Fed Wednesday, and Jerome Powell didn't really budge, but yet we still saw bonds hold the line here. You can see ZB, the 30-year note futures, they're holding up well. They just have kind of gone sideways this week. Actually, this is actually an up week. They're gapping higher with the market on Sunday night, gapping higher against the market Sunday night, but they've held up well, and you can see the 2-year here as well with a nice little bull flag on the daily. And my suspicion here, and basically what I'm seeing from dealers and hedging and stuff like that, this last dip was bought, their dealers are starting to hedge up towards 6,200 SPX for next week. So again, maybe looking at all-time highs here. If we just simplify this chart right now, you had the head and shoulders there. It failed, and you can now make the case that this is kind of just turning into a cup with a handle right now. So bulls back in control. They never really lost control, but back in control right now. And again, bonds, I think if Trump is successful in pushing this 2-year down, which I think will happen, meaning this chart goes up and the 2-year yield goes down, I think we're going to start to see some really zonky, crazy action here in the stock market. I think that, the bull case make it even crazier here. And I think what is also sniffing that out here, the 2-year going down and possibly some, I don't know if we want to call it yield curve control yet, but maybe even the market sniffing out QE. Let's look at gold here, fresh new highs. That's an all-time high. We talked about this tightening base here. And we gave you this opportunity to buy, and it's been a good rally so far off of that breakout. Take a look at silver as well. Beautiful wedge breakout this week. This is textbook TA right here. Taking a look at platinum, I believe that's up about 7 or 8% on the week. Palladium up 5% today. I think that's up about 7 or 8% as well on the week as well. So metals acting very well. Additionally, again, like liquidity, right? We've talked about this, week in and week out here. This is not a market that is illiquid. Look at some of these, look at crypto. Solana up nicely. Bitcoin still holding line. Ethereum starting to break out of a wedge here. You've got alts starting to inch up today. This is not really a market that is showing a lot of illiquidity. Despite what, I've been told by TV, I just don't see it right here. So market still acting well. 610 is a little bit of a cap on SPY at the moment, but through that we could see 615 and 620 next week, maybe the week after. We do have perhaps maybe a little bit of risk mid next week with jobs. But again, as long as that doesn't fall off a cliff, that could just turn into event volatility which again drives the market higher. So bulls back into control here. Gold continuing to pump, and it's a bull market everywhere here. So market's acting well. QQQ again, a little bit of resistance at the 530 area. You can see the bull flag breakout. We essentially retested, and we're now right back inside. We could even like adjust this to kind of tighten it up, make that retest look a little bit better. It doesn't really matter. But again, similar kind of cup and handle type look there on the daily. And if this can get through 535, it's up to new highs for that. IWM as well, finally breaking out the previous week, and we just back tested the 225. So again, resistance becomes support, and it is acting well off of that RTY, which is the futures. I think it looks very nice. I like this inside bar pattern here on the daily. I think that's setting up for 2350 and possibly even higher after that. The Dow Jones via the diamond here, again backing off of 450. We talked about that level last week. It just backed off of there. Through that is 452. So kind of into a little double top here, but again, strong uptrend. We mentioned this was a very good trend line to look at for a dip buy, and that did happen. We mentioned interest rates already. We're starting to look at the 2-year possibly breaking down and the yield breaking down and the bond note inching up. I do like it here, and I still have my ZB position, which is deeply in the money. I'm looking for TLT to 90. And for ZB, you can even make a case. I actually tweeted this today, but you can make a case you've got a little like inverse head and shoulder right here too. So your left shoulder head, right shoulder. Not the cleanest pattern, but if we just take a measured move here, you can see that would actually take you up to even higher. So it'd be like 118 around the 200 moving average. So for TLT, that could be like 93. So, things happen that people don't expect, and I think that could be one of them. Additionally, looking at bonds here, I don't talk about HYG that often anymore, but big time descending broadening wedge, and it's starting to peak above too. So junk bonds even breaking out here. We'll see how that impacts the market right now. I still think the long end and the long term remains firm, but short term, I think that they can keep bond prices up here, specifically on the short end. But anyway, XHB, a little consolidation week. It dipped on Wednesday, back up yesterday, and it's just having an inside day today. This is ready to break higher if it wants to, if it can just hold this higher low. Nothing really wrong here. And if it can get through this level, it should go back up to 115, 117.50. VNQ also holding up well. Nice choppy consolidation pattern. It's a little sloppy, but if it can break through 92, it can start to see some higher prices. So housing holding up. XLF, what can you say? At all-time highs, all-time closing high. It's strong. JPM, Morgan Stanley, Goldman Sachs, all sitting at the highs. KRE, up 24 cents today, and that's through our key pivot here. Still got to close above 65.11 on the weekly, but the daily has repaired a lot of that sell. Same thing on KBE as well. So good move for the banks this week. And that weekly pivot is 59.44, so not far off of that. Broker dealers still sitting at fresh all-time highs. Oil, I think, is getting very interesting here. That's four out of the last 5 days. Oil has had a tail come off the low here, and they're defending this 72 handle a lot. So I think we could see a pivot here in oil next week. I'm definitely a little interested in this currently for a possible higher low setup here. So we'll watch and see if it breaks through that. Then it's down to $71 to $70, which I think would definitely be viable, at least for a trade. But right now, pull back there on oil, and we'll see if it can get a bounce. XLE. Dipping hard today. We had earnings out of Exxon, Chevron, and Conoco. They're all dipping, but coming off the lows. So I think that's just some kind of earnings volatility that's going on. We're not seeing big moves in either of them. XLE did hold the 88 handle, which I talked about in my trading room as being important here today. And it got close to a 618. I would have preferred if it just touched 87. I would have liked that. But we'll see what it does here. I am looking at this for a dip buy again at some point. That might have been today. We'll see how the pattern shapes up. It may even have a double bottom in it. I'm not ruling that out, but I am looking at this moving forward here still for another dip buy. So that's been a trade that's worked out so far, and I wouldn't be against adding back again. Same thing on XOP and OIH there. The OIH actually green today though. Uranium with a very volatile week as well. You can see CCJ here. If we can get our CCJ chart up. There we go. CCJ at 1.5. So it's still inside of that drop from Monday, but it is trying to base and it's holding the 48 handle. I haven't done anything in the uranium space in a while. You see NM and MJ holding up. Now you have those leaders, Oklo, just erasing that gap down there. SMR also with a strong chart despite the gap down. So Oklo SMR still leading, and they're still seeing a lot of institutional buyers come in. Natural gas, not really much going on here. It's holding on to $3. I don't really have much interest in this right now. It may have topped out for the year, or excuse me, not the year, but the quarter. So may have to look towards late spring for this to bottom again, but it is holding that 3 handle for now. So maybe it gets a bounce there. Dollar index is very critical right now. So this has been helping out bonds to get some relief. It has come back up above the 108 handle. And it's hanging on by a thread. It's actually dipping now as we speak. But this is a key bull bear pivot for me. If we lose that, you're back down into the 107 area. And if you lose that, it's down to 106, 106.50, maybe even 105. So DXY on the weekly. Bulls want to see this become a higher low. And it's got a shot to do that. But if it starts to come back down, we're going to be looking at, in the 106 handle here. And markets like that. And you know what else likes that is gold. And I don't think gold cares about the dollar, honestly. But to me, I think this market is sniffing out dovishness. I think Powell, it was a hawkish pause on Wednesday, but the market is telling me that it doesn't care what he says. You look at what gold is doing. Look at like some names like ARK. By the way, there was an interesting chart that was shared. I can just point it out right here, but this is when Biden was elected. So right here, right towards the end of that bull run. And then Trump was elected right here. So, I mean, you're seeing this liquidity come into some of these beaten down names. Like look at XYZ, previously Square, PayPal, like some of these names are starting to bottom out. I think that there's a case, some of these junk growth stocks are starting to bottom out. I think there's a case to be made, even Zoom. I mean, look at Zoom. There's a case to be made that some of these are starting to sniff out that QE as well. I know it's crazy to be even talking about that right now, but I think that's in the future. At some point, there will be a math problem. And usually the market sniffs it out way before it actually happens. But anyway, gold, fresh new highs. What else can you say? That's something that we telegraphed for you week in and week out here. So that was a trade you could have played along with. Look at the beautiful test on GDX. I mean, it doesn't get any technically better than that. Silver, picture perfect breakout. Platinum, you guys know I've been talking about this. I've been saying here this is interesting, and it has come back. I did pick up Sprott last week. There's Palladium. I picked this up at 938. That's acting well now. Palladium, got a very good risk reward here. Well, not anymore to chase it, but that was a good falling wedge breakout. We got a bull pattern off of it, and it jumped on board. Copper down today, but it is working on. It's trying to get a higher low here. So you've got the W and possibly a V. I would like it a little bit more if it went for the 618 though. I like the 618 V the best, but it's trying to hold right now. And crypto we talked about here. I personally like ETH right now. I did pick up some yesterday actually. But Bitcoin, no problems here. I will say though, part of the reason why I picked up ETH is you have market cap dominance and Bitcoin starting to dip. And the alts are starting to firm up. I do like Solana and Cardano as well. But no problems with Bitcoin. I think it just needs to base a little bit longer. It's getting there on the weekly. Maybe another week will do it good. But again, no problems here. And they keep telling me liquidity is coming out of this market. I just don't see it. I just don't see it, guys. So, especially with the market at fresh all-time highs here. So in any case, market's acting well right now. No problems here. 610's a little bit of resistance, but remember, dealers are hedging up to the upside next week, and they're starting to move those targets. I think we could see 6,200 before you know it. So, anyways, guys, I'll wrap it up here again. You guys take care. Don't forget to come find Jason on Patreon. Come find me on cutovertrades.com. See you guys all next week.